Blake, tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend.
Thank you for having me. This is my first 5 on Friday, and it is as good as advertised. I'm grateful to be here, grateful to be asked. My name is Blake Hudson. I work at Victory Lab. Former student of Victory Lab. Now I've come back home. It is my sales alma mater. They helped give me the competence and confidence I needed to achieve sales success, and now I do the same thing. I sell sales to future salespeople. I'm really happy to do it. Host TNS. I write some things and say some things on the internet from time to time. Sometimes they even make sense. And I'm here today to just try and be as helpful as possible. Thanks for having me.
Love it, man. Terry.
Are we not gonna get Blake's favorite ice cream?
Sorry about that. I knew I was forgetting something. So,
hey, Francois, if you need me to just take over as host, I got you. No, I'm just kidding.
Once I forgot, I was like, oh shit, I didn't say ice cream. What have I done? Terry's gonna say his ice cream now. My grandfather put me on to butter pecan and black walnut. So here I am eating ice cream like an 80-year-old man. But that's just the way it is. Butter pecan for me.
You're a wise soul. You're a wise soul, Blake. That does not surprise me.
That's one way of putting it.
Terry, you got to beat that.
Nice. I can't top Blake. I'm just here to try to keep up. Francois, thanks for having me. My first 5 on Friday as well. My name is Terry Arbaugh. Our company is called C-Comp. We design and build hardware, primarily electronics, in the B2B space. So we do things like remote controls and thermostats and, human machine interface type devices, IoT connected devices, medical products, things like that. So I run our sales and marketing here out of San Diego. And I eat ice cream like a little kid still, Blake. So I'm on the other end of the spectrum from you. My go-to ever since I've been a little kid was just chocolate chip and mint chocolate chip. Get 1 scoop of each, and I still rock that to this day, and I'm 46.
Amazing.
I'm gonna be very clear. I eat ice cream like a kid when it comes to quantity. My quality is old man, but I'm eating ice cream on a daily basis. It's like the bottom level of my food pyramid. Just so we're clear about it.
All right, there you go. Good to be here.
Nick, you're gonna have to. The bar keeps getting higher.
I don't know how I follow that, but I guess Blake didn't get the memo. It was short haircut day here at 5 on Friday. So Nick Capozzi from salespitching.com. I teach sales teams how to sell with video, and I develop sales content.
And ice cream, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Pistachio all day. Even better if it's Sicilian pistachio gelato.
Awesome. Okay.
It works.
Well, none of my hosts can make it today. They're all busy, Patrick and Amy, but I'm Francois. I've helped co-host this. Favorite ice cream, pistachio gelato is a close one, but I'm just old school, man. Chocolate, just a good hard scoop of chocolate. Can't go wrong. Arthur, the floor is yours. You've got this like crazy ensemble of like gurus. So the bar's high, but yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us how you want some help today, man.
Yeah, of course. What's up with that weed plant behind you, Arthur?
Oh my God, this is hilarious, dude.
Let's start there.
The second time I've got that.
I know, it's Toronto.
It's legal now, right?
Yeah.
Dude, it's an IKEA plant. I know, yeah, that helps with the ice cream for sure. Terry, that's like the second time I got to change it up because somebody's like, even after the demo, they're like, by the way, that was hilarious. Was that a weed plant in the back? I'm like, oh God, that's not a good look.
Sorry,
anyways, no, appreciate you having me on, Francois. This is awesome. Have been following along a little bit. So yeah, my name's Arthur. I'm an AE here at Chili Piper. Been here for about 3.5 months. It's been awesome. Yeah, prior experience in tech. This is the first time that I haven't really been niched into an industry, which is pretty cool. Selling to sales and marketing leaders, primarily, I guess, in the B2B space. For today, really what I was hoping to get feedback on.
We need ice cream, brother. We need ice cream.
Ice cream, of course, guys.
TBD.
You know what? I'm TBD now. I'm thinking. I'm kind of leaning towards. I've never heard the black walnut, but I am a big fan of butter pecan.
Too.
I had like a turtle pecan chocolate blizzard the other day, so I'll say that. That was pretty good.
Awesome. All right, brother. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I appreciate it. I was gonna say without the help of the plant, Terry. Yeah, so for today, what I was really hoping to kind of get your guys' feedback on was our demos are typically 30 minutes in length. And I'm finding that it's pretty tough in terms of like the building rapport, getting through to the problem. And then by the end, it's kind of like, oh shit, we have a hard stop. How do we kind of set up next steps? Who else needs to see this? So would love to riff on that with you guys, kind of get your different perspective on how you wrap it up and not seem kind of pushy and put the words in the prospect's mouth in terms of getting them to kind of set next logical steps. So yeah, I'm open to ideas if we want to kind of just riff on the end there. If you guys wanted me to kind of take you through Chili Piper so you get a better understanding of kind of what we do. But yeah, hopefully that gives you an idea, Francois, of where we can.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Blake, you had some questions earlier, so I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts. I mean, you're in the trenches every day giving people feedback, right? So, you know, in the 45 minutes we have, you know, what do you think would be the best? I mean, my gut tells me there's going to be kind of some micro role play here so that we can see it in action and then give them the feedback.
That question for me, I'm sorry, I just.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm assuming you just asked about the format. Sorry, I'm catching up here. Yeah, I mean, role play's fine. I think that obviously gives us the opportunity to get some just more organic answers, right? We don't want it to be just a pitch because your best sales are going to be a conversation. So however you want to do that, whatever persona you want us to take on, just let us know.
Yeah, and I think I'm also trying to figure out, Blake, and everybody else, open to your idea here, just like in the time we have, like if your demo is typically half an hour, I don't know if it's the most useful use of your time today to take us through the whole thing, because then you won't have a lot of feedback loop time. So I'm thinking like, you know, like you were saying, maybe we dive in kind of halfway through where the call would be, you set it up, and then one of us is that persona, and then we can give you lots of feedback.
He said closing, right? Arthur, you said closing is the thing you really want to work on. So you could just give us a brief overview and then kind of close all of us, right? And then we could kind of give that feedback on that particular aspect.
Cool. Yeah, Nick, you're looking like you're having some thoughts there too.
Well, listen,
Probably trying to figure out what the hell I'm talking about.
There's a lot of opinion.
You and me both.
I was going to say, why don't you, since transitioning into like next steps is what the focus should be, why don't you hop in the last like 6-7 minutes of your demo so that we're kind of flowing with where you're at, and then do your transition so we can focus on that.
Cool. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
And maybe just for dialogue, I think like you're pitching to all of us, but maybe just pick on like, let's say Nick as the person you're talking to. Cool. And then that way there's just kind of a nice flow of one-to-one. So yeah, pick Nick as what would Nick typically be?
Demand gen, let's say, for B2B space. Yeah, so
it looks like I'm focused intently. It's just because I'm not the brightest light in the menorah, so I really got to pay attention.
Right on. Yeah, so typically I would recap. So before we don't have like a very long demo, but
and you can share your screen if you want.
Yeah, we actually don't have like any decks or anything. It does. Okay, let's get try and make it a conversation, Nick. We gotta have some fun here. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just pick it up from my understanding. So yeah, Nick, basically what I'm seeing is there is that delay between when somebody comes inbound and to the point where the sales rep picks it up. And in terms of different routing capabilities, I know you're based on territories right now. So that's what I was hoping we could focus on for today's call. We can show you how,
because that's the struggle. That's why we're having this conversation, Arthur.
Yeah. So, I mean, you came to the right place. That's exactly what Chili Piper was built for. So we'll definitely take you through how we can shorten that SLA in terms of when somebody's raising their hand and it's going to your sales team, and how we can actually route that internally so it actually creates an instant inbound experience. So what I'd love to do, Nick, if you're open to it, I'm going to put this link in the chat. It's our test demo form.
Okay.
And then once you have that in front of you, I'd love for you to actually share your screen. I can kind of walk you through some of the logic we build in.
Oh man, you should have warned me in advance. I don't know what tabs I got to open.
Oh damn.
New window. Open
I'm
a new window,
kidding,
brother.
I'm kidding.
Minimize.
Yeah.
Now we're good. It's all good.
We've probably all seen some tabs we shouldn't.
Cool. So one of the first things to call out, Nick, is that Chili Piper, we're really just a JavaScript code that sits underneath the form.
Okay.
So I know you mentioned HubSpot. We use HubSpot internally as well. This is a HubSpot form. And really it launches once we have that form submit. So feel free to fill this out. It's really the last couple form fields there that I want to walk you through some of the logic.
Okay, everyone's got my phone number now. Son of a. 5 on Friday. Oh man. Okay, I'm using HubSpot.
So
my company size. All right.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Oh, did I mess up, Arthur?
No, it's all good. It's all good. So really those last two fields, that's what we're using to, one, disqualify. So for us, if they choose other, we actually don't want to show them a calendar, right? We want to qualify kind of right off the spot, see who's a good lead and who we want to show the calendar to. And then the one below is actually how we route internally. So it's based on different employee headcounts there. There you go. Now you can see if you didn't book a meeting, we'll actually tell you that as well. But if you want to just go back there, Nick.
I love that wasn't a GIF, just an image, but it was hilarious. I love it.
Yeah, so it's really the HubSpot field there, and then how we route is just based on employee headcount. We actually have different reps in there. So from your perspective, is there anything that right off the bat you would know that they're a bad lead?
I'm sorry, repeat that, Arthur?
Yeah, if somebody's filling out this form on your website, is there anything that you would know right off the bat that they're a bad lead that you wouldn't necessarily want to show a calendar to?
Company size.
Okay. And what's the limit there? Anything under 100 or?
Yeah, anything under 100. Bingo.
Okay. Yeah. So that's very simple. Like we could do it like a pick list. So if they were to select anything under 100, we're actually just going to route them to a different landing page and not pull up a sales rep's calendar.
Okay.
But anything above that, could you give me an idea of how, is it like just a round robin today?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, if they select that, Chili Piper's smart enough to create that round robin so that whatever reps you have in there, it's an equitable distribution in terms of how many leads they have. So now you can go ahead and click submit here. So a couple things are happening. First,
what if it wasn't a round robin, Arthur?
In terms of like, you wanted to set it up by territory, or what are you thinking?
Well, listen, man, I've had a bad year. I need Blake to take this one. I need it to go to Blake. So.
Yeah, Blake, you mentioned round robin didn't really work. So what were you thinking in terms of routing the leads by?
Well, the biggest thing is going to be like the availability, right? Because if we just pass them up equally, that's assuming, and I know it'd be nice to assume this, that every single one of our reps is up to speed and has the same level of acumen. That's not necessarily the case. So I wouldn't want to give, rep 6, who just started with us a couple weeks ago, the lead that we'd love to give rep 1, who's been with us since day 1. So is there a way to maybe prioritize or force rank the different people that we send it to?
Yeah, so we do actually. So if I'm hearing you correctly, Blake, would you want almost kind of the top closers to have more of these inbound leads versus, or you just want to prioritize based off availability?
I mentioned the availability, but I guess it would be really nice if I could prioritize them based off the quality of the lead, right? And then what are the parameters that we can use to base quality? I know Nick already mentioned the company size. So for example, the more people they have, the more likely it is to go to my top rep.
Okay.
But at the same time, now I'm worried because does that person get fewer because we get fewer leads that come in with that number of company size? So basically the question is, what are the different ways in which we can qualify and determine the quality of these leads?
Yeah, and that's what we would actually work with you to figure that out. So just shooting some ideas out here. I think if you wanted, let's say, higher employee count to go to those more tenured reps, we would basically just create a queue for, I don't know, let's say over 250 if that's the litmus test, and only put your highest tenured reps in that queue so that when they're coming through initially on the web form, it's only getting routed between, let's say, your top 2 to 3 closers. Now, with that being said, we could still have them in the other queues as well, whether it's like 100 to 150, 150 to 200. That way, we're always making sure we're prioritizing your top closers and then going through and still having them get access to maybe the other lower quality leads.
You know what, Arthur? I love that, and I like to have the flexibility. So when I go to the people above me, we can actually have that discussion of how they'd like to prioritize. But it's great that you have both options. Okay, so what's next? Now I'm at the calendar.
Yeah, so really what we're doing here, for us, we actually look at email domain, and then we link that up to account ownership. So if it's an unnamed account, which I'm guessing at this point it is, it falls into like a catch-all round robin queue. So at this point, you're just going through the next available rep in our round robin. Feel free to click a time here. And then just like that, you're
I
booked
was
with
hoping
Liz.
it'd be Liz. I'm excited.
she's-
Good. Her content is fantastic on LinkedIn. Great.
She's fantastic. Yeah, that's a good fit for you. So in terms of Nick, you were talking about shortening that SLA, right, from hand raise to book demo.
Mhm.
That's really what we do here, right? There's no back and forth for the sales rep to chase after those leads. We're just basing it around the logic that you guys already have. In this case, it went to Liz, and from there you actually have a meeting booked on the calendar. So I guess from your perspective, is that what you had in line with the inbound process?
Yeah, so far you're ticking all the boxes for me. I like it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, from here, like I can definitely show you what it would look like kind of in Salesforce. And I know you mentioned GCal, so we can show you that automation, but yeah, why don't we start there? And I know Blake, you had a couple questions too.
I'm going to give you back the screen here.
Well, yeah, I'm curious to know, do we get any say in the meme selection? Because if I'm going to pick a Leo DiCaprio gift, that wouldn't be the one I'd go with. I'd go more Wolf of Wall Street, but that's just me personally. I don't know if that's an internal thing or if we have say in that.
Yeah, for us or for you? For you, you can take them to any landing page. For us, I'll put a call in, Blake. See if we can get some Wolf of Wall Street Leo on there.
Very particular about my memes. Kind of leader.
I don't just put my name on any meme. Right. This is important stuff here.
So in terms of what that would look like, sorry, Terry, did you have some questions there?
I was gonna ask you. I don't know where you're at in this process, but is the close you were talking about initially in your initial question, is the close getting Nick to book that meeting and see the DiCaprio meme? Is that the close and you're done?
That's, you know what, like, yeah, now it's a little bit more kind of just on the back end to show you a little bit more. But yeah, to be honest, if they're coming in and saying we want to reduce that SLA between inbound to the time it gets routed to our sales reps calendar and eliminate the back and forth, that typically is that moment where we're showing them, they're saying, okay, yeah, this is exactly what we need. And then I would kind of open it up back to them and saying like, look, this is what you need. I can show you what it would look like, but I'll open it up the floor to you, Nick and Blake. Is there anything in particular you guys wanted to see? I can show you how those queues work, or maybe you're wondering about pricing. I can get into that as well.
So are you trying to close right in this first meeting?
I wouldn't say so, no, because it does hit across a lot of different decision makers. Now, I think the way we've actually had our pricing changed, it makes it easier for demand gen not to necessarily get buy-in from sales, because that experience right there, we basically just ask them to say, how many reps would you want that routed to, right? So if they have a team of 8, round robin, boom, 8 user licenses, we get the concierge platform. There's really nothing else that sales has to do. It's just they wake up and they get booked meetings on their calendar.
So what would be the next meeting between me as the prospect and you as the Chili Piper rep?
Yeah, this was where maybe we go over any other decision makers that would need to be involved, maybe sales ops. If we need to get a little bit more technical on how that integration works, then I would like bring somebody else on. But for the most part, I think there's enough there that it's like a good business case, and we hit on why they essentially came in, and we talk about like the SLA and whatnot. So there isn't necessarily really a second demo that would take place unless there's other kind of decision makers that we need.
Let me ask a different way. What would be ideal next steps for you?
Nick, I think we're trying to go to the same thing. Like, what is a close here? We're talking, the question was, how do you close? How do you wrap up? How do you move it along?
Yeah.
Is there one definition of a close, or is there 3 or 4, 5 possible outcomes of a close in this meeting? Yeah. What's ideal next steps for you? What other outcomes are likely here? I guess define what a close is in this first meeting to you would help me.
Yeah, I guess really what the next steps would be, either we're speaking to the DM and they're like, yep, this makes a lot of sense. And they don't have to ask anybody for budget, or they're saying, yeah, let me see like where this falls into. This makes a lot of sense, but I can't make the final call. We have to kind of push it up to corporate or whatnot. I don't know if that answers your question.
Do you
Well,
think
you're not really closing them. If you're talking to the decision maker, did you say you have the opportunity to close them, or it has to go up either way?
Yeah, you're right. It depending on who's on the call on that first one, but I would say typically it's kind of to scope out the business case. Is this what we're looking for? Does this play nice with our systems and everything there? And then if it does, by that point, it's like, okay, this is what you're looking for. It seems like there's a good business case here. Yeah, I typically do present pricing, and then they would let me know like, yeah, well, this person needs to see it, or yeah, let's discuss internally kind of thing. And then that's where I'm not necessarily sure where to take it, where they're like, this looks good, this is kind of what we need.
Arthur, sorry to interrupt you. What do they usually say to you when you're at this point? Like, do you say, hey, do you want to go into pricing? Or are they like, oh, interesting, let me talk to someone, or, oh, interesting, what's next steps? Because I think too, just, I've done a couple of these here on 5 on Friday, and it's
Mhm.
usually a bit more complex, right? But the simplicity is what's great about this. But you're also, right now, we're all kind of having, paralysis by analysis of what should be next. So what are people saying to you at this point in the conversation typically?
Yeah, it would be to let's go over pricing. What does this look like? And then after that, it would be something like, okay, we got to make sure that sales ops is involved, or like this is going to work with our tech stack, or we just have to discuss. Yeah.
And do you think you can typically in these, like maybe you can, I don't want to say stereotype, like, if they're this size and there's this many decision makers, can you kind of have like a templated, these are the upfront contracts I think I can have in these calls where I say, hey, Nick, and Blake, I want to show you these things. If I show you those, do you think, these logical two things could happen? Or, you know what I mean? Like kind of setting that up front.
Sorry, was that to me? I don't know if that was to me or Blake.
Yeah, I guess it was to you. Sorry, Arthur.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I do like that, where it's like, yeah, and typically where we go from here, or like we get into pricing, I get them to say, how does that feel about pricing? And then they would say like, well, yeah, it's this or that. And then I guess, yeah, typically they are going internally to discuss or ask for budget.
And I want to jump in here, and
Yeah,
this might either be really, really right or really, really wrong. So just bear with me. But one of the things that I was thinking about is the questions that you're asking. You heard the phrase qualifying to close. There's qualifying as an SDR to get into the next stage, and there's qualifying to close. The only question that really stood out to me that you asked was, how do we, what would make a good lead versus a bad lead? That's a great start. But I feel like the crux of what you're getting to is you are going to help them have more at bats.
Yep.
So it's important for you to know, what is your median held percentage, right? How much are you making per deal? Because Chili Pepper is going to come in and increase the held rate by X number of percent. You start talking real numbers with them, and I think it makes it much more tangible. For example, when I'm selling to people on Victory Lap, I have to explain to them what an income share agreement is. And I say 8% of your income for 24 months. That's very broad, especially for someone who's maybe fresh out of college. They don't know what the hell 8% of 24 months is. When I say to them, hey, you'd be paying about $400 a month, but you'd be making like $3,500. That starts to make people light up because they can appreciate those terms. So you doing the same thing here is get them to start thinking in real numbers that are practical to them. And if they don't know their median held percentage, and if they don't know how much they're making per deal, now you've established an opportunity to be the expert, to start to say, well, this is what we're finding industry standard. And if you can increase your held rate by just 10%, that gives you an extra X number of at bats. What do you guys think about that? Is that on track, off track?
Right. That's great. I love it.
I think it's fantastic. The defining what things are. When people say, this is expensive, it's like, well, what do you mean? In our space, somebody might build 25,000 units or 100,000 units of a device, and they want to beat you up over pricing, and they might be looking at 30 cents a unit, 40 cents a unit, and it sounds like a lot when they're saying, hey, this is just too expensive, you got to come down. And if you do the math for them, you illuminate the fact that, is it really that big of a deal? On a multi-million-dollar contract, we're talking about 30 grand, right? But getting down to that level of detail, Blake, going from just the broad of what it is to actually what it means to them, I think is a great tactic. I wanted to pick up on something else a little bit, I guess. Defining what the close is not a closed deal, signed contract, new customer. In my mind, we do enterprise sales. The stuff we do takes a very long time, with a whole long series of meetings and calls and emails and everything else. There's a win in mind for every one of those individual things we're doing. The win is not an order. An order comes way down, right? So if what your focus is getting the next meeting booked with the right people, and my understanding of the setup of this conversation today was you're trying to do this in 30 minutes.
Yep.
I don't understand why you would go into pricing, because if you are doing a full demo and you're probably spending most of your time doing the demo and doing all the things you just walked Nick through, you might have a very little bit of time at the end. If you start throwing in pricing to somebody who's not the final decision maker anyway, it feels like you're giving away something unnecessarily that's not helping you accomplish your goal of setting the meeting.
Okay.
I could be wrong here, but I would use almost at the end of this, saying, hey, customer, I just want to honor your time. Obviously, pricing is going to be an issue that we're going to need to talk about, but we didn't budget time for that today. How about we schedule a next meeting? And who from your side would feel left out if they didn't attend that meeting and have a chance to ask me questions about pricing? Right? Not saying, hey, I need to get the decision maker on the line, because then you're belittling the person you're talking to.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to close, is to get the next meeting, I don't think trying to squeeze pricing in the last couple of minutes helps you.
No, it's really interesting because, yeah, I think now that you guys are talking, I think the goal is really to see if there's just a business case there for what they're doing.
So what would be the business case versus competitors, Arthur?
You know what? As far as I'm aware, nobody can book, route, and qualify off the form fill. And that's kind of like our unique differentiator. So I think people put us into like the bucket of Calendly and whatnot, but you can have your Calendly on the website, but once that lead goes through Salesforce, who does it get routed to? Or you know what I mean? So
yep,
that's where it gets a little.
Got it. And then in the, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but in the realm of pricing, are you guys about the same as everyone? Are you premium? Where do you fit?
I'd say we're probably priced a little premium.
Okay. So if you're just a little bit premium, I mean, again, to Terry's point, I also was thinking that the only thing I was thinking, Terry, was that if it is such a short demo, do you get into pricing? And also, where's 30 minutes going, right? Because I kind of felt like I got the gist of it in the 6 minutes that you and I talked.
Yeah, that's a fair question. I think like whatever rapport, 2 to 5 minutes. Then the disco, I'd say, is the longest we spend. And to your point, Blake, like we do want to get into all those numbers, the ACV, the meeting held rate. A lot of the time, though, I think I don't necessarily try and have a canned demo and have those questions. So sometimes, to my fault, like I don't ask those, and then I get to the end, and you're right, it's a little tougher to kind of quantify the problem that we're solving, and it makes it a little vague to get to the next points. But yeah, I'd say disco, then we kind of get them to do what you did. I might show a little bit on the back end, and then from there, yeah, we're kind of talking pricing and next steps.
So let me, sorry, Francois, tell me to shut up at any point here. You can say it in French so no one knows. Arthur, if you're doing 2 to 4 minutes of rapport building, build it with Blake.
You want me to, okay, right now?
Put you on the spot.
Is this at the beginning of the conversation or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a good idea.
Okay, cool.
Arthur, listen, you can take a minute and grab something off the plant and we'll come back.
Just calm the nerves. Maybe.
Can we give him some advice, or do we want to see Cole just what he's got right off the gate?
Let's see. No, let's see cold.
Okay. So Nick, are you asking Arthur to cold call Blake, or you're saying Arthur has a disco set up with Blake, but he's got to build some rapport? So there's been an email exchange, but other than that, they don't know each other.
Well, and the reason I'm going there is because Arthur's just saying he kind of riffs this, right? He's not using it back, and I get too, it's not an overcomplicated, it's a great product, but it's not overcomplicated. So that rapport building, I think, is a great opportunity. If you got the book for half an hour, take advantage of the time, right? So I'm just curious, I'm putting you on the spot, but here, I'm gonna time it. You got 2 minutes.
Just so we're clear, this isn't like, what's your favorite fly fishing spot rapport. This is like, talk to you
Okay.
about actual product
Here.
report.
I'll
Like,
demo
what kind of
it.
ice cream? Like, what kind of ice cream do you like and stuff?
So,
I'll demo it.
so Blake is, we'll say Blake's a VP of sales for a SaaS company.
Okay. Yeah, I guess at this point, like I would try and have a look at their LinkedIn. Maybe I would talk a little bit about the company. And
You know what, Arthur, I'm gonna time out you. You are gonna
Yeah,
shut up, Francois. I'm sorry. I'll give it to you first. How about that?
sure.
Okay. Arthur, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, Nick. How are you?
I'm fantastic, buddy. I see you're in Toronto. Are you, what part of the GTA you in?
I'm in Liberty Village, if you're familiar with that.
Oh, Liberty, that's a nice place to live. That's a great place. I used to live in the beaches at Woodbine and Queen.
Oh, right on.
Beach now. Hey, I noticed you went to the University of Guelph. Do they still have the Bull Ring Cafe there? Is that still on campus?
They did. They did. Yeah. It's
Awesome.
I know it's not as popular as it used to be, but yeah, they still have it.
My best friend from college was actually from Guelph. I went to college at Humber in Toronto, but my buddy Jeff and I, we'd spend a lot of weekends in Guelph. Although I have to admit, most of my weekends were probably at Van Gogh's Ear or the Trashateria, and then wound up at Pita Pit at 3 a.m. But it was good times. Also, too, one more quick thing. Just noticed in your LinkedIn profile that you're a certified Toastmaster. What's like the best thing that you use every day that you pulled out of that?
Oh man, that's a good question, Nick. I think for me, it was literally just about overcoming my fear of public speaking. So that gave me an opportunity to just get in front of there and kind of bite away at the fear little by little. So I guess if there's one thing I can take from it, it's kind of facing my fear right then and there.
Nice. Oh, last thing, I see you coach soccer. Do you still play?
I do and just in a men's
Nice.
league here, but yeah,
Okay.
haven't
Your league?
obviously played enough. Yeah, still.
Yeah. You ever
Still
go see TFC play?
I did, yeah. It was
That's fun.
I know it is pretty cool. We got a good crew down here.
I love it. Okay, let's talk about Chili Piper. There you go.
Okay.
Slow clap it for Nick. That was
Yeah.
dope. Yeah.
I think Nick has an unfair advantage because he knows Toronto so well.
Yeah, that's what was going through my head too. I'm like,
I definitely had to step up there, but I was just, if you're riffing, especially if you're riffing, you're not going, and this is where I was trying to go with this. If you're not going through a slide deck and we're just shooting the breeze, right? Yeah. Spending 2, 3, 4 minutes in someone's LinkedIn profile, finding little nuggets, little Easter eggs that you can have that conversation, right? Because again, it's not an overcomplicated product. It makes a lot of sense, right? So if we're riffing, like, let's riff a little bit. That's all I was trying to go with on that.
Can I add something to that then? Because that's great. And like literally at question 3, he had me shut up and take my money. Why do you know so much about me? This already. It was like I was being mugged, but in a good way.
I'll sign up. Sign up.
I want to talk about what happens after that, how you transition from that to this demo. And not to sound too cheesy, but it's about telling a compelling story and putting this person at the center of it. And any good story has a character, knows what they want, overcome some sort of adversity to get there. Use the experiences and the stories of previous customers to create the context for this person you're talking to now. So character, your VP of sales, you're trying to help your CAC to LTV ratio. You're trying to make all these changes, right? And your goal ultimately is to X, Y, Z. One of the challenges that I'm seeing a lot of VPs of sales go through at the very earliest level is just missed meetings, right? Their hold rate. If they could improve their hold rate just 10%, what I find is that they improve their X, Y, and Z. You know these things because you study this, is your job, but you're telling the story and now they can see what the hell's going on. They can see why this is important. Most importantly, when you start doing this demo with them, even if they're getting confused about the demo, they know why they're doing it. It's very clear what they're headed towards. And I think as long as you keep that goal in sight, a lot of this stuff kind of takes care of itself. They're going to have nitty-gritty questions way after the demo. So it's not about this perfect demo. It's about why are we doing it?
And can I ask a question around that, Blake? Because I love that. And I think that's definitely lacking in my demo. Because typically, to your point, what I would say is, okay, Nick, so how familiar are you with Chili Piper? And then get an understanding of that before creating that compelling story. So are you doing it? What's that?
I've been there. And by the way, it's not just your demo, it's most every salesperson's demo because they've been told to do it a certain way. So they think that's the only way it can be done. I've asked the same question. The ones on the sheet. Well, tell me, what do you know about Victory Lap? Well, what do you know about Chili Piper? Fuck that. Right? Sorry, Francis, you're recording this. But it's not about you. It's not about your company. It's what are your goals? What are you trying to get? What do you hope to get out of this meeting? What's one problem that we can solve here today? Right? And maybe it's unrelated, but if it's unrelated, then maybe they shouldn't be talking to you, right? Like you want to get to what is their goal? What is their purpose? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What was the question?
Yeah, no, it was just, so you would build rapport, then kind of lead with that compelling story and then say, but I mean, that's just to give you an idea. I really want to hear kind of what we're looking to achieve today. What's something that, is that how you would like position it?
So that compelling story part is literally just creating context. The content is then going to be how you talk to them, what they say about themselves. That's the character development, right? Like any good story, you got the character development. So you can't help them. You can't determine what their needs and goals are if you don't know about them professionally. Obviously, Nick's taking care of knowing about them personally. And now they want to listen to you. But professionally, what is it that is important to them? What are they avoiding? What are they pursuing? That kind of thing.
And to Blake's point, because Blake just nailed that, like so perfect. But I always make them the hero.
Yeah.
They always, but people forget that, right? It's not about you. It's not about Chili Piper. It's not about Arthur. It's not about whatever. Make them the hero, right? And just like Blake said, weave that story with them being the one who's actually championing it and, you know, pulling the sword out and slaying the dragon.
You are Dory.
I need my chance to beat the dead horse. Because this is a great point. You gotta, like, this has to break through. And looking at your LinkedIn before we got started today, your about section is an I section. The way you're approaching things, the way you tell your story about yourself, the way you're talking about Chili Piper as the, like, you know, I represent Chili Piper. What do you know about us? Don't make the customer do that work, man. Don't put the pressure on them to tell you what they know about you or what they're hoping to get out of this meeting or anything else. Blake said it earlier, and I want to double click on it. What you, as the expert in your industry and what your company does, should already know the benefit to the prospect's company and the prospect's role. So I talk to a lot of VPs of sales and marketing, and they tell me, or we have found that if we could just increase our hold rate in meetings by 10%, that would mean, you know, the difference between hitting quota or not, or achieving our revenue targets or not, you know, whatever it is. But you do that work for them. Don't put the pressure on them to give you the answer of how to sell them, because you should go in knowing all that. So I would rework your about section on LinkedIn, which is not what this is about, but just like Nick said, the customer is the hero. The subject of every sentence should be them or their problem, not you or your company.
No, it's great feedback. I appreciate that, Terry.
So if I'm stitching together a bunch of the feedback I'm hearing, which is great, is, you know, like pricing's on your website. So maybe I'm missing something, but I don't even personally know why pricing needs to be talked about that much. Like, it doesn't sound like a massive differentiator. Then do some good old fashioned rapport building so that they're like, yeah, I want to keep listening to Arthur. And then building that hero story, right? And you haven't even probably mentioned Chili Piper yet. And maybe you won't, right? We talk to people like you have this, you know, this is a common problem. Does that sound, you know, does that resonate? And if they're like, no, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about, then, like Blake said, maybe this isn't even a fit. And then I'd say in there, maybe you're inserting some, hey, if I can show you this, that's where you're planting these seeds of that next meeting, right? Like, if I can show you this, and they might be like, yeah, that'd be really great. You know, so that they know why you're telling them this story, because there might be this amazing story. They're like, hey, well, what's the point of it? Like, well, I'm putting in you here, you're the hero. And they might say, that's cool, but there's someone else. Okay, cool. Maybe that next meeting is with someone else. Am I following everybody? Like, I'm trying to stitch together all this great feedback and figure out, like, okay, how can Arthur walk away and go, okay, cool, maybe pricing isn't a focus, rapport building, we can always get better. And then that hero story. But what's that hero story leading to? Because I think at the very end of the call, he's going, okay, so now I've got them like all wound up. They're like, what next?
It's a feeling. It's a feeling. And it's the feeling that's going to get them to the next meeting is not, oh man, they're going to save us $12,000 a month if we don't go with these other guys. That's not the feeling. The feeling is because we do this, it's going to lead to this X result. I'm going to look better than my boss. My teammates are going to appreciate me more because they now have this new tool. It's like, how do you get them to that feeling? The number's great, and that's like a byproduct of it, but like you're going to solve a consistent problem for them and give them a consistent solution. Once they understand that, the other stuff is like just part of the journey.
Right.
Yeah, I think what I was doing there too, Blake, is like you're trying to create this advocate, right? Like you're getting them so emotionally attached to this amazing story, they're going to get off the call and they're just going to want to walk around and tell everybody, like, guys, like you'll never know, you'll never imagine what I can do or what we can do. And yeah, like the hero story, right?
At risk of going way too far with this metaphor, but you watch Finding Nemo, right? Dory is the one that's going to help you. What is the point? Finding Nemo, not how we're getting there, not where we're going to go, not how long we're going to hang out with the turtles. Like all that shit's important. It's fun. It's entertaining. The demo's great. Finding Nemo. And like the more you can keep that the top of mind for them, the other things are just naturally going to fall into place. But if you don't have that clear, tangible goal for them and you don't establish that early, why would they want to continue the rest of that movie? It doesn't have a plot, doesn't have a point, and I'm not the hero. So
you know what? I talk about this stuff all the time, Blake. No one's explained it that well. That's a phenomenal analogy. I am totally stealing that.
And if your goal of your meeting is getting that meeting, getting the next meeting, and that's your Finding Nemo, once they found Nemo, the movie was over. They didn't go say, well, all right, found Nemo, should we go get some burritos after? Like nobody wants to see that part. Like if your close is the next meeting booked, stop talking. Like if that's your goal, that's what you got. And like I said, presenting pricing to somebody who is either not ready or does not have the time or is not the right person to talk to about pricing, you're giving away a leverage point, right? If you go, there's a lot of people that talk about this. John Barrows is one of them doing, gives and gets. Don't give away pricing without getting something in return, right?
This becomes the new Nemo. Like you,
right. So what you're after is, hey, before we present pricing, say who from your side would feel left out, or who's going to weigh in on this decision with you. Hold that back in service of you accomplishing your goal of setting that next meeting. Like I think just being really, really, really clear about what you are trying to accomplish in that call, and not being loose or vague or trying to stack on top to say, not only did I book the meeting, but I also gave them away pricing and got nothing else for that. Like that doesn't get you anywhere.
Is it wrong that I want a fish burrito for lunch now?
It's only natural. See the power of subconscious conversation here. That's right.
Ice cream.
So you Terry, you brought something up that I saw a post on yesterday that was getting a ton of traction, and it was like this, is it okay to end a meeting early? And obviously there's like the internal debate, which I think everybody put their hand up and said, if you've covered everything in 5 minutes, give people their time back. But I would argue, and it probably sounds counterintuitive, and I would have a hard time with this too sometimes, Arthur, like if you've got an hour or half an hour with a client, if you've got them excited and they're like, let's go find Nemo in 15, you might be like, all right, man, like I think I can give you 15 back.
Yeah.
Which seems crazy in a way, right? Like people might be like, why are you ending your meeting early? But like if you're just making stuff up now, you're probably going to be backpedaling.
Yeah. That's what we call skating
stop
in
selling.
Canada.
Stop selling when they've said yes to what you were trying to get.
Yeah. Amen.
What was
One
that,
thing,
Blake?
Arthur, I'll add, Arthur, is that, and I see this in a lot of demos, be very clear on whatever the next steps are, and then recap it again, right? Make it as easy for the prospect as possible to get to the next conversation with you, right? So, okay, you're going to talk to, however Terry worded it, the person who doesn't want to be left out. Okay, so hey, listen, Arthur, great talking to you. And just to recap one more time, we're going to get A, then B, then C. Can't wait to talk to you again.
Love it. No, this is fantastic, guys. I really appreciate it.
Anything else that we got? Go ahead, Blake. Go ahead.
There's a book recommendation for you. It's called Made to Stick.
Okay.
Heath and Dan Heath, they're brothers. But one of the things they talk about in there is these things called curiosity gaps. And to that point about finishing early, a lot of people try and avoid tension, whether it's like sales conversations, dating. You want some measure of tension, right? You've hit your goal of getting them interested in the next meeting. You don't have to solve every single problem, answer every single question, because that tension, that curiosity gap is what causes them to want to go to the next meeting. They know enough to get to the next meeting, but not enough to skip the next meeting, right? Like there's a better time and place to solve some of those other problems, like the nuances of the product or the pricing or all these other things. But now they understand what the goal is. They're motivated by that.
So you're saying just don't, I'm not trying to simplify it, but
No.
another way, like you don't give everything away in the first demo.
That's exactly it. The curiosity gaps are actually really important.
Just like dating again, Blake.
It's like dating.
Don't, who
Don't give everything away in the first meeting.
isn't the Sandler one, or who is it, the spilling the candy in the lobby?
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
I don't think that one is works as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a great one. Like, if you're talking to them and you can tell, okay, man, like there's 5 things or 4 things I'm going to solve for them, and I can feel that bubbling up in our conversation. Like Blake's saying, I think, maybe, really drive home the 1 or 2 things you're going to do to make them a hero, and save that 3rd one for the next meeting. Because if you give it all away in that first meeting, yeah, why would they book the next one?
You help them solve the why, and then in the later stages they'll be curious about the how. If they know the why up front, though, you got them. The problem is that a lot of salespeople, they try and sell people on the how at first.
Yeah.
And the person's sitting there like, why do I need to do any of this? Why do I need to listen to it?
A quick question, just going back to, Nick did a masterclass on rapport building, but my guess is like the people you're talking to, they're not cold, like they're interested. So you've got a little lever already, like they want to actually talk to you. So I guess my point, all I'm trying to say here is like, you've got a really good opportunity to build rapport. They want to talk to you versus that cold call's tough, right? Like some people are just going to shut down. They don't care if you went to school with like half their family, it's going to be a dead end. So I think Nick kind of just re-illuminated the opportunity you have there to just, really get them like even more interested. And I'm sure you do a good job, Arthur. We're not trying to like, slam you and say you don't know how to build rapport, but I think Nick just kind of reminded you and us that, they're interested. So Nick, you're a champ at this. If they're interested, they probably want to talk.
Yeah, you know what it comes down to? Any demo where I don't have to use a deck, that's my happy place, right? I want all eyes on me. I want the attention and the focus on what I'm talking about, so that when I'm highlighting my prospect and making them the hero, they're even more engaged and engrossed in the movie that we're producing at that time. So it's just it's a huge opportunity that you have, Arthur, and people miss that sometimes. No deck. That's my favorite, and that's by building rapport and actually riffing and having a real conversation. You're humanizing yourself, right? And people buy from people they like, but people like people who like them.
And Nick, you didn't give away the whole movie. My guess is you probably have a really slick way of transitioning from, okay, great, this cafeteria, we both went to it, it stinks. Now you start pulling away parts that like, you slide very graciously into the let's talk business now, but you probably are able to fish some fish nuggets out of that first conversation.
No, there's no doubt that I'll keep coming back. I mean, Blake's transition was perfect, and I'm like, oh, it's really good. I'm going to script some stuff about that today, I'll tell you. But yeah, there's all, the other thing too is that a lot of the psychology of it is dropping things, throughout. Actually, I'll tell you this: if you're having a riffing conversation, and I need to give 100% credit to Kevin Dorsey on this. I was having a conversation with him, and he was telling me about this sales presentation. And, so I'm explaining myself, and Francois, are you following me? Are you getting it? Am I explaining myself right? And he kept peppering, are you getting it? Are you getting it? Are you getting it? Are you buying it? Are you buying me? Are you buying what I'm saying? Are you buying what I'm selling? Right? And if you weave those in super casual, the psychological effect of, are you getting it? Are you buying it? And they're acknowledging you, right? Because you're asking it as a question. Man, that's good stuff.
But it's a very fine balance, because I've heard little mini arguments and debates around, do you get it or do you understand? Like there's some people it can turn them off a little bit. Like, are you
No. But what I did was I made them the hero by saying, am I explaining myself correctly?
Yeah.
Right? Are you getting it? I'm looking for them to acknowledge that they're following what I'm saying, that, oh, am I maybe right? And that's okay, because it's humanizing, and it makes me more humble in that conversation, right? But it's still, and it's not, do you understand? Because understand is not a purchase. Are you getting it? I'm purchasing. Are you buying it? I'm purchasing, right?
I see what you did there.
KD did it. Full credit, KD. 100%.
Well, listen, we got 4 minutes left, Arthur. Anything else you want to ask, or does anybody have like some final? I mean, we covered gardening, fishing. The topics were amazing all over the map. I love it. But anything else like from these guys that you want to pick up on, or anything else you guys want to throw at Arthur while you got him?
No, I think it was, from my perspective, it was fantastic. Like, I love the course on the rapport building. Definitely just riff on a couple of things that you pick up, get them excited. I love the compelling story, Blake. I know that's something that we lack. And for whatever reason, maybe I was thinking like I did want it to be more about them. So I didn't want to say that, but the compelling story is putting them at the center of it, right? And having them be the hero. So I really like that piece. And to your point, Terry, like the pricing at the end, it's a give get, right? Like, use that as the next step. If my next step is to make sure, I guess, to paraphrase Blake, the why, and then use the second meeting as the how, and then talk about the pricing and whatnot. So fantastic, guys. Yeah, anything else you have to add? Like, I wrote a bunch of notes here, but this is, I'm really excited about incorporating this into my pitch.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'm gonna practice what I preach and offer up to give you 3 minutes back. This was like not even 2 scoops, like 3 scoops, guys. This was like everything on top, all the toppings. This is great. Appreciate you guys making time for Arthur. Arthur, appreciate you putting yourself on the spot. Thank you, gentlemen. Really appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Francois. Appreciate
Take
it.
care,
Arthur.
guys.
Good crush it.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.